Good morning, friends. We are studying hematology, which is simply a study of blood. Up to so far, we have learned regarding hemopoietic system. Hemopoiesis means formation of the blood cells, composition functions of blood and blood cells, blood plasma, plasma proteins. Then hemopoiesis stages and development of the RBCs, WBCs and platelets. Then composition and functions of the bone marrow, structure, types and functions of hemoglobin, mechanism of blood clotting anticoagulant, physiological basis of the blood groups, plasma proteins. So today we will see the applied part of the hematology. Applied part of the hematology means the concept of the hematology which is applied in the patient. How it is applied? Clinical application of the hematology. We will see how practically this blood get investigated and what is its important in short. Then there are some pathological terms or pathophysiological concepts. We will try to understand where the physiology is applied to understand pathological changes inside the body. Blood, you are aware now, is a connective tissue, type of connective tissue which is circulated through blood vessel in the whole body. This blood can be easily withdrawn. When you withdraw the blood, you can have different type of the test for the blood for the diagnosis, prognosis, differential diagnosis in the disease for the patient. In such a time, more than 100 blood tests, many hundreds of the blood tests are available today, out of which most primary blood test is known as complete blood count. This complete blood count test was previously known as hemogram, and this most common test, most primary test is in your syllabus in the practical program. In practical we will learn how to do the complete blood count, but here we will take a short review of the complete blood count test. For this purpose, blood has to be withdrawn. Blood withdrawal can be done by major two methods. Number one is prick method and number two is intravenous method. You can choose any of the method and take a blood of the patient or a subject. You can store this blood in hemogram bulb in which some anticoagulant salts are mixed so that in that bulb blood can be stored for more time, and as for your convenience you can test the blood. There are some tests which are included in the complete blood count. Number one, hemoglobin count. Number two, red cell indices. Number three, red blood cells count or erythrocyte count. Number 4, white blood cells count, WBC count or leukocyte count. Number 5, platelet count or thrombocyte count. Number 6, erythrocyte sedimentation rate, shortly known as ESR. And number 7, differential leukocyte count. Leukocyte means WBC. You are aware that there are 5 types of the WBC. So, you find out its percentage shortly, that is DLC or differential leukocyte count. Regarding hemoglobin count, if you do the hemoglobin count, it is done by the Sahalin method nowadays. There are so many methods to count the hemoglobin, but Sahalin's method or acid hematine method is most common method used today, and it is in your practical syllabus. After testing, you will find that normal hemoglobin ranges are in infants 14 to 20 grams per 100 ml of the blood. In adult females, 12 to 15 grams per 100 ml of the blood, and adult males 13.5 to 18 grams per 100 ml of the blood. Here, when hemoglobin count is decreased, it is noted that hemoglobin is less, at the same time RBCs are also less, and most probable diagnosis is anemia. We'll see what is anemia. Before that, next test is red cell indices test. The test include, and normal values are PCV, means packed cell volume 40 to 54, MCV or mean corpuscular volume 76 to 96. Third is MCH, mean corpuscular hemoglobin 27 to 32, and MCSC, mean corpuscular hemoglobin 30 to 35. These are the normal ranges which has no unit. This test is done to analyze different types of the anemia. RBC count or erythrocyte, normal RBC count in a healthy adult male has about 5.4 millions of RBC per microliter of the blood, and a healthy adult female has about 4.8 millions of the RBCs per microliter of the blood. This value increase physiologically in newborns, males, high altitude, high temperature, exercise and stress. Pathologically, if the RBC count is more than normal, your conclusion may be polycythemia vera, chronic hypoxia, severe diarrhea or vomiting. These values decrease physiologically in old age, pregnancy, or in females it is comparatively less. Pathologically, all types of anemia, excessive fluid therapy, hemodilution, RBC count decreases. WBC count or leukocyte count, it is also known as TLC, total leukocyte count. Normal WBC or total leukocyte count is 4,000 to 11,000 per millimeter cubic ml of blood. This value increase, when WBC count increases, the condition is called as leukocytosis. A physical leukocytosis is there in newborns, in infants, in muscular exercise, pregnancy, exposure to low temperature, mental and emotional stress, or parturition. Pathologically, leukocytosis is after acute bacterial infection, pyogenic organisms, hemorrhage, burns, malignant disease, or post-operative conditions. This value decrease in condition known as leukopenia after exposure to severe cold. Pathologically, after infection non-pyogenic bacteria, irradiation by gamma rays, drugs, starvation, hypersplenism. Platelet count or thrombocytes. Normal platelet count is 1.4 to 4.4 lakhs per cubic mm of the blood. This value increase in post-hemorrhage and post-surgical period. Allergic reaction, myeloid leukemia. Value decrease in malaria, idiopathic thrombocytopenia, purpura, leukemias, aplastic anemia, bone marrow infiltration, hypersplenism. Now, ESR, shortly known as, its long form is erythrocyte sedimentation rate, and you are aware that erythrocytes means RBC. When you put blood in a container, you will observe that RBC are set down. Then, after 1 hour, how much RBCs can set down is seen through the test ESR. There are two methods for ESR, Wintrop's method and Western Green's method. By Wintrop's method, normal values in the male is 0 to 9 mm after 1 hour. In female, 0 to 20 mm after 1 hour. Western Green's method, male 0 to 5 mm after 1 hour, and females 0 to 7 millimeter after 1 hour. Value increases in the chronic infection or severe anemia when there is low RBC count and hemoglobin count. You will observe that ESR has raised. That then again there are some additional conditions also. Differential leukocyte count, neutrophils are 40 to 75, eosinophils are 1 to 6, lymphocytes are 20 to 45, monocytes are 1 to 8, basophils are 0 to 1. There are different references available regarding this, but you will see that when count is increased, for example, if neutrophils are more than normal, it is called as the neutrophilia. If the percentage of neutrophils is decreased, then it is called as the neutropenia. This differential count is also useful for the accurate or diagnosis of the patient. So this hemogram test or complete blood test count is most commonly used as a primary blood test. So whenever patient come to the doctor, normally usually should start from this CBC count examination. You will also see many of the reports, maybe of your family members, neighbors or relatives. Then you should have idea about the normal values and probable conclusions after the investigation. Let us see some diseases related with the blood. Some diseases are included in your syllabus also. Anemia. Anemia is a condition in which you will observe that there is RBC count has been decreased. At the same time, hemoglobin count is also decreased. As hemoglobin is blood pigment, it also gives color to your skin. When hemoglobin decreases, the color of the skin becomes pale. So pallor is the important sign you will observe in the anemia. This hemoglobin through RBCs carry out the oxygen so that when this oxygen reaches to the blood, there is a reaction inside the cell known as cellular respiration. So after this cellular respiration or cellular metabolism, energy is produced inside the cell in the form of ATP and we are able to work. So when RBC count decreases, when hemoglobin count decreases, patient suffers anemia. Let us see what is anemia. Anemia is a condition in which oxygen carrying capacity of the blood is reduced. Types of anemia. All of the many types of anemia are characterized by reduced number of RBCs or decreased amount of the hemoglobin in the blood as we have seen. Overall, oxygen carrying capacity of the blood is reduced. So, in anemia, you will observe that person feels fatigue and it's intolerant of cold, both of which are related to lack of oxygen needed for ATP and heat production. Also, the skin appears pale due to the low content of the red colored hemoglobin circulating in skin blood vessels. There are 7 types of the anemia. Depends on the cause of the anemia. Why anemia is there? What is the cause? On the basis of cause, there are 7 types of anemia. Number 1, iron deficiency anemia. Number 2, megaloblastic anemia. Number 3, pernicious anemia. Number 4, hemorrhagic anemia. Number 5, hemolytic anemia. Number 6, thalassemia. And number 7, aplastic anemia. Let us see one by one. Iron deficiency anemia. This type of anemia is due to possibly inadequate absorption of the iron, excessive loss of the iron, increased iron requirements or insufficient intake of iron. For any one reason, patient may having anemia. Women are at greater risk of iron deficiency anemia due to menstrual blood losses and increased iron demands of the growing fetus during pregnancy. Gastrointestinal losses such as occurs with malignancy or ulceration also contribute to this type of anemia. Second type of anemia is megaloblastic anemia, in which there is inadequate intake of the vitamin B12 or folic acid causes megaloblastic anemia, in which red bone marrow produces large abnormal red blood cells called megaloblast. It may cause due to the drugs that alter gastric secretion or are used to treat the cancers. These drugs can create megaloblastic anemia. Next type of anemia is pernicious anemia. You are aware about the functions of stomach. In the stomach, gastric juice is secreted. Additionally, in the stomach, one intrinsic factor is secreted. The extrinsic factor is present in your diet in the form of vitamin B12. When there is lack of intrinsic factor, this pernicious anemia is there. Let us see. Insufficient hemopoiesis resulting from an inability of the stomach to produce intrinsic factor which is needed for the absorption of vitamin B12 in the small intestine causes pernicious anemia. So, in the presence of lack of intrinsic factor, this extrinsic factor also cannot absorb, and this intrinsic factor and extrinsic factor both combine together in the formation of hemoglobin. Next is hemorrhagic anemia. Whenever there is hemorrhage or bleeding, excessive loss of RBCs through bleeding resulting from large wound, stomach ulcers, or especially heavy menstruation lead to the hemorrhagic anemia. Here also RBC count and hemoglobin count comes down. Then hemolytic anemia, you are aware that lifespan of the RBC is 120 days. But if RBC get distracted before 120 days, RBC plasma membrane ruptures prematurely in hemolytic anemia. The released hemoglobin pours into the plasma and may damage the filtering unit in the kidneys. The condition may result from the inherited defects such as abnormal RBC enzymes or from outside agents such as parasites, toxins or antibodies from the uncompatible transfused blood. Then thalassemia is genetic disorder. Deficient synthesis of the hemoglobin occurs in the thalassemia, a group of hereditary hemolytic anemias. The RBCs are small, pale and short-lived. Thalassemia occurs primarily in population from the countries bordering the Mediterranean Sea. In India, thalassemia is also common. Aplastic anemia. You are aware that the blood cells are formed from the red bone marrow. In aplastic anemia, there is destruction of the red bone marrow, result in aplastic anemia. Toxins, gamma radiation, and certain medications that inhibit enzymes needed for hemopoiesis are the causes. You should also aware of the sickle cell disease. The RBCs of a person with sickle cell disease contains HbS, an abnormal kind of hemoglobin. When this HbS gives up oxygen to the interstitial fluid, it forms long, stiff, rod-like structure that bend the erythrocyte into sickle shape. The sickle shape cells ruptures easily. Even though erythropoiesis is stimulated by the loss of the cell, it cannot keep pace with the hemolysis. Prolonged oxygen reduction may eventually cause extensive tissue damage. Next condition is jaundice. You are aware about the bilirubin. This bilirubin is breakdown product of the hemoglobin. When there is RBC destruction after 120 days normally, this hemoglobin also breaks into two parts, heme and globin. Globins are the proteins. Again, this heme is divided into two parts, iron portion and non-iron portion, as you have seen earlier. Non-iron portion of the heme, after some reactions, release bilirubin in the liver. First of all, biliverdin and then bilirubin. In the jaundice, there is more production of the bilirubin. This bilirubin is of two types, direct and indirect. Depends on the condition of the jaundice, the values are increased. So, more bilirubin is in the blood. So, jaundice is diagnosed when you check the serum bilirubin level of the patient. Normally, which it is 0.1 to 1, but if jaundice is there, this bilirubin level increases more. There are three types of jaundice. One is hemolytic jaundice or prehepatic jaundice. Second is hepatic and third is post-hepatic. Hepatic means concern with the liver. If jaundice is due to the cause before blood enters the liver, that is called as prehepatic jaundice, in which there is hemolysis of the RBCs before 120 days and more bilirubin is produced. So, hemolytic or prehepatic jaundice due to excess production of the bilirubin. Now, this bilirubin is produced in the liver. In the second type of jaundice, that is hepatic jaundice, abnormal bilirubin processing by liver caused because of the hepatitis, that is liver inflammation, cirrhosis of the liver or congenital liver disease. These results are related with liver, so called as hepatic jaundice. Third one, to understand post-hepatic jaundice, which is also known as obstructive jaundice, you should remember that whenever this bile is formed in the liver, it is secreted out of the liver and through hepatic duct it comes in the duodenum, but only when the food is present in the duodenum. If his food is not present in the duodenum, this bile gets stored in the gallbladder, and when food enters the duodenum, the bile from gallbladder as well as liver enters the duodenum. Now, there is biliary duct start from the gallbladder and at last which becomes common biliary duct. If there is any obstruction in common hepatic duct, biliary duct or common bile duct, that bile will not able to enter into the duodenum. It will store in the liver itself and serum bilirubin level will increase more than normal. Many times it is due to gallstones or cancer of the bowel or pancreas. So, in short, obstructive or post-hepatic jaundice due to the blockage in the bile drainage by gallstone or cancer of bowel or pancreas. We should remember this. Next is hemophilia. Hemophilia is an inherited deficiency of the clotting in which bleeding may occur spontaneously or after only minor trauma. Different types of the hemophilia are due to deficiencies of the different blood clotting factors and exhibit varying degrees of the severity, ranging from mild to the severe bleeding tendency. So in the hemophilia, you will observe bleeding tendencies there. Blood cannot get coagulated at proper time, and this degree of bleeding may be mild, moderate or severe, depends on the types and cause. In the hemophilia, the most common type is hemophilia A, in which factor 8 is absent. People with hemophilia B, there is lack of factor 9. In hemophilia A and B occurs primarily among the males because these cyclic recessive disorders, whereas hemophilia C affect both males and females. Hemophilia C is caused by the lack of factor 9 and is much less severe than hemophilia A or B. This is because an alternate activator of the factor 9 is present, namely factor 7. Now, hemophilia is characterized by spontaneous or traumatic subcutaneous and intramuscular hemorrhage, nosebleeds, blood in the urine, hemorrhages in joint that produce pain and tissue damage. Treatment involves transfusion of the fresh plasma or concentrate of the deficient factor to reduce the tendency of the blood. Leukemia. Leukemia is a condition in which there is cancer of the red bone marrow, and due to this reason, abnormal white blood cells WBC count multiply uncontrollably. This is called as leukemia, again, which is also common. Then cyanosis, development of the bluish color in the skin. Actually, bluish color is not present in the skin because skin blood vessels have sufficient amount of the hemoglobin. But now, if the hemoglobin does not have oxygen, then more carbon dioxide is there, then cyanosis develops. Slightly bluish dark purple skin discoloration, most easily seen at nail beds and mucous membrane due to an increased quantity of a reduced hemoglobin. Hemoglobin not combined with oxygen in systemic blood. Now, what is blood bank? Blood bank is facility that collect and store a supply of a blood for future use by donors and others. As blood bank have additional and diverse functions, they are more appropriately called as centers of the transfusion medicine. Some terms: autologous preoperative transfusion. Donating one's own blood can be done up to 6 weeks before elective surgery, also called pre-donation. This procedure eliminates risk of the incompatibility and blood-borne disease. Try to understand this autologous preoperative transfusion. You know the donor and receiver. Donor gives blood and receiver receives the blood. But there are chances of some disease transformation or group and matching incompatibility. If you want to eliminate this risk, then you may have autologous preoperative transfusion or pre-donation. If there is a person who has a planned surgery after some days, he can collect his own blood. That blood is kept in the blood bank, and during surgery, that blood is again given to the same person. That's why it is called as pre-donation. This eliminates risk of the incompatibility and blood-borne disease. So this is all about the hematology, its applied aspect. Thank you. Before closing, you should remember that regarding hematology, in the examination, you may be asked many of the questions. There are 3 types of questions: long answer question, short answer questions, or shortest answer questions. Long answer questions have 15 to 20 marks. For this, you may be asked regarding blood, functions of blood, or physical characters and functions of blood. You may have to write down about the RBCs, details of the RBCs. There may be question details of the hemoglobin. There may be question details of WBCs. Then a detailed large answer question, long answer question may be asked about the hemostasis, blood groups, then formation of the blood cells, how the blood cells are formed. These long answer questions may be possible. Short answer questions you may be asked about any of the point related in this. Long answer question has to be write down in 4 pages, and short answer question has to be write down in 1 page or some lines. I am sure that you understood most of the things. It cannot be said that the discussion is completed. It depends on your queries, the discussion. and understanding will continue. Teaching learning process, actually learning process has no end. So I wish you a good day. Thank you very much.